Hi, I'm Tristram Hooley, and I'm going to be interviewing Jane Wellens today about some of the research that she's done using online questionnaires. So you've used a few online questionnaires in your work. Can you just tell us about some of the things that you've done?
Well, about 3 years ago I was involved in a project at the University of Leicester where I was looking at the student experience and in particular how a number of initiatives in areas of teaching and learning had impacted on students. And this was prior to the National Student Survey, which has been introduced fairly recently. So we undertook a survey of all the undergraduate students across the three undergraduate years, and for the medical students all 5 years, to look at their experience of different initiatives within the institution.
And why did you decide to do that online?
For a number of reasons. Firstly, there was this is going back a couple of years, and there was a feeling that we might get a better response rate, that there would be a novelty value. Also, from an economic point of view, just actually having people to go out and run a paper-based survey was going to be rather difficult, and so it was a combination of both the ease of data collection and analysis, and also the fact that we felt students might be more likely to respond to an online survey, particularly given we knew that they all had access to the internet and to the online survey through their university web accounts.
Right. So how did you go about advertising and recruiting participants?
We recruited in a number of ways. So the university actually has a bulletin, an email bulletin that goes out on a weekly basis, and so initially there was a call for people to participate that we advertised through that email bulletin, and we ran that over the period of time that the survey was open, which I think was about 6 weeks. Every week there was the same message saying, would you like to take part in this survey? And that recruited relatively well, but the thing that I found actually increased the response rate was by contacting members of staff in different departments and asking them to email their students, and the fact that they were getting a message from someone they knew personally, someone in their department who was emphasising the fact that the survey was important, really aided the take-up of the survey. So I was often copied into those emails, and for example, I would get the email from the member of staff in the law department, and when I next looked at the survey database, I would see that there had been a large response from law students in the sort of 48 hours immediately following that email going out.
Okay, so what sort of response rate did you get overall?
We had 490 students complete the survey. There are nationally 7,500 students in our undergraduate population, so that's a response rate of 6.5%. So it's not a massive response rate, but not uncommon for web-based surveys. And I think the undergraduate population at 7,500, there would be within that a number of students who are possibly not on campus, away on placement and things like that, who would have been harder to capture.
So how did you analyse that data? What did you do with it?
It was imported straight into to Excel and then into SPSS, and from that I was able to very rapidly get some kind of quick and dirty figures out of the survey, and then later to start cross-tabulating on different responses and different answers.
Right. I mean, what sort of advice could you give? I mean, you've obviously talked already about the sort of personal contact, but if people wanted to achieve reasonable response rates, what sort of advice could you give to help maximise that?
Well, there are a number of sources of advice that are given in the literature. In many respects, I went against some of those. So, for example, it's generally suggested that you only have about 15 questions in an online survey. We actually had 107 questions, and they were split into 12 different categories, looking at different aspects of the student experience, so formation of friendships, experiences in the classroom, experience of assessment. so way over the recommended number. But they were fairly easy to respond to. They were check boxes, often on a Likert scale, some drop-down boxes, and actually the average time taken to complete the survey by the students who took part was 13 minutes. So I think that's in line with the sort of recommendation that surveys take sort of 10 to 15 minutes and no longer. We did also make sure that the students knew how long the survey would take when they read the information about it, so they had a feel for how long it would take as well.
Right, okay. So you used mainly checkboxes. Were there any sort of open questions that you used?
There was only one open question at the end, which was for them to give some reflection on their overall university experience if they chose to do that, and about a quarter of the students chose to make a comment in the free text response.
What kind of data did you get out of that?
We were able to code that up and to basically categorise that into sort of positive comments about their experience and negative comments, and then to be able to feed that forward into other areas of the university, to feed it into relevant support services and so on.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tristram.